Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Pete. Welcome to today's episode of Stocks for Breakfast. Today is Friday, April 3rd, 2020. Hope everybody's being safe. Hope everybody's being smart. Happy birthday to my fiance today. I want to talk a little bit about today where most of the money is lost by smart traders. I know that's a big introduction, right? Something that nobody wants to talk about, losing money. However, the better job that we do at not losing money, the easier it's going to be profitable over the long term. And I know that's not really what everybody wants to hear. However, it's absolutely the right thing to learn first, because I always equate driving and trading to being the same thing, because in order to be good at both, you need to experience both in different conditions. There's a path that everybody goes through in trading where, of course, we open our account, we're all excited, and we can't wait to trade. However, the first thing you need to learn is to how to not lose money and be along, be around long enough to understand how to make money. I know that sounds what's the word I'm looking for? It sounds like a Yoda thing, and it's not. It's not. I'm trying to. I'm just trying to awaken everybody because I get a lot of emails and I get the feedback and I see where everybody's struggling, and it's exactly what I went through when I first started trading. I wanted to start trying to make money right away, but I really didn't have any idea what I was doing, and I certainly didn't understand that I needed to lower my exposure and prove that I actually had a strategy and that I could follow it before I started to trade a little bigger, especially if you're a proprietary trader where you have access to hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions. It can be tempting to use all of it. I mean, I have some stories from when I owned my trading firm that you just would not believe of people placing trades that would actually max out their buying power just because it was available, not even because there was good trades. So again, I just want to repeat it because we're actually in a situation right now in the market that is potentially a trading environment that could drain your capital faster than you could imagine, and the market going nowhere, which that's a clue to what we're going to talk about. And then when the market does pick an obvious direction, whether that's up or down, another clue. When it does pick a direction and you don't have any capital, or even worse, your confidence is shattered because you got beat up in the middle of nowhere, and then you can't take advantage of it. So I just want to point this out. What I'm talking about, obviously, is a potential change of trend. When a potential change of trend happens, more often than not, it's obvious after the fact, but there's clues that we can pay attention to, very similar to what we're experiencing from yesterday to today, which is why I'm bringing it up. If you watched yesterday's video, I wasn't super bullish or bearish yesterday, although I did only spend yesterday looking for sell shorts. I didn't participate in the rally yesterday because, quite frankly, the market didn't make sense to me yesterday after getting pounded, opening at the lows, finding support, and then rallying for the better portion of the day, selling off all the way down to the lows again, only to rally again at the end of the day. It's textbook potential change of trend. Today's price action, we're actually doing the same thing. We're going back down in the opposite direction now, where we've basically given back all of the rally that we had at the end of the day yesterday, in the last hour or so of the day, where the Dow futures are down, I think, 300 or something like that. It's kind of early still. But my point is this: when you go from feeling amazing during that 4 or 5 day rally that we had and printing money where it just felt like it was super easy, and then all of a sudden 2 days later you feel like your brains fell out of your head and you like you've never looked at a chart before, and you're panicking, not understanding what you're doing wrong. I'm going to use, I'm going to joke around and say it's something like we talk about, it's not you, it's me. Like it's the market right now. When somebody's breaking up with you and they want to make you feel good, they tell you it's not you, it's me, I'm changing, that kind of stuff. Right now, the market's a little schizophrenic, and with good reason. It doesn't matter what channel you watch on TV. It doesn't matter if you're out driving or not out driving and seeing the realities of what's going on right now. This is an unusual time. Can you be trading right now and trading actively and getting involved? Yeah, you could. But I'll tell you right now, you have to really be on top of your game in order to feel confident that you're placing your money in harm's way and feeling awesome that you're going to be making money on a regular basis. I'm not telling you don't trade. I am telling you that if you trade in this environment, which is not optimal, where we're going up and down, up and down, up and down every day, gapping higher, gapping lower, coming back down, trading at the lows, trading at the highs an hour later, that's not a normal tape to have conviction. So what I'm trying to tell you, even though you and I might never meet, what I'm trying to tell you is that all market conditions are not conducive to being active and hyperactive and that kind of stuff. Sure, you're going to see on YouTube or Twitter or Facebook or wherever it happens to be or on television, there's going to be people saying, oh, you should be crazy involved. This is amazing. Yes, for professional traders, they're coming out of the woodworks right now, people I haven't spoken to in years, where the VIX spikes up and there's this amazing volatility. And if you know what you're doing, meaning you have a track record and you've done it and you're doing this full time, not because you happen to be quarantined right now. If you're doing it full time and you know what you're doing, it is an amazing time. But even me, with all of my experience yesterday, and if you don't know, I started trading in 1994. I started trading stocks in 2000. I hardly traded yesterday because the market didn't make sense to me. So if I can impart any kind of wisdom like that to yourself, you at some point during the day or some point during the week, if you happen to be swing trading, and if you're going to say to yourself, what the heck is going on? When you say that, put the mouse down and don't place another trade. It doesn't make sense to pick a fight that you have no idea what's going on. So be super smart in this environment, because I remember back in 2000 when the market changed from rallying to amazing .com stuff to April of 2000, and that window around there when the market just was choppy as heck and started to turn around. Everybody who made a fortune was giving it back because they didn't recognize when the market was turning. And then we had that 2-year downtrend, basically from middle of 2000, let's say, actually a little bit later than that. In March of 2003, the market finally bottomed out again. And during that bottom, when everybody was making a fortune short selling, meaning they were betting the market was going down and trading aggressively on the short side, when the market started to bottom out, the statue of Saddam Hussein got pulled down by a tank, I think. I remember watching it on TV in the office we were in. I was on Lexington Avenue and 49th Street. And all of us were watching it come down. The market started to, just kind of like, it wasn't going down anymore. It just wasn't going down. And all of a sudden, these people that were making a fortune started losing money. I remember one guy, his name was Fino, from the rumor I heard, I didn't know him personally, but he's trading next to us, made like $3 million in like that 2-year period. And he kept shorting again in like March and April of 2003. And he's like, I'm done. He quit. He's like, this doesn't make sense to me anymore. How I made money isn't following through. And he was done. Then we had, obviously rallies all the way up until 2007, 2008 again. And it was easier to trade on the long side where you were only looking for buying opportunities. But then the market peaked, crashed. And then when we started to roll over and had that bottom, let's call it again, almost, I don't know the exact, but for this one, I think it was like March of 2009 again, for some reason, March. Everybody was making money during the crash. And some people I know personally made tens of millions of dollars. As the market was bottoming out and slowly turning around, that's where a lot of the money was lost. A lot of the money was lost trying to short sell while it wasn't going down anymore. And then we had this really beautiful uptrend for the last 12 years. Thank you, financial bailout, right? So now we're in a situation where the market should be going down harder. I believe that's going to happen towards the end of this year. Not even a question. There's just too many businesses getting crushed right now who are going to have a really hard time recovering. And I don't wish that on anybody. I've been an entrepreneur since 1988. I'm just talking about the reality of who's going to open and who's going to be viable after this. I'm sure some of the larger companies that are well capitalized are going to clean up because they're not going to have that much competition. But let's keep this on trading. Let's not talk about the economy at the moment. We're talking about it from a trading perspective, and I'm trying to give you stuff I've gone through and how I've made or lost money. And kind of right now, if you look at yesterday, the market gap, it gapped down and should have followed through yesterday. I was all set. I even wrote in our private, our coaching group, I'm looking at the SPY below 244. That's my trigger. We never got below the previous day's low, fully expecting to hold it short the entire day and then look for other stocks to sell short, and we just never got there. It didn't even trigger. It didn't even trade below the previous day's low. Not only did it not trade below the previous day's low, but obviously there was oil news yesterday, which we're going to talk about in a second. All of the energy stocks got a massive bounce yesterday. I heard a great quote from a guy named Rod Casilli yesterday. He said, when you start to hear about oil in the single digits, usually the first number you hear after that is 20 or 30. And he was kind of prophetic. It was actually smart. So the oil and energy news gave the market a bounce yesterday, but you wouldn't have expected that going into the day. So my point is, if we are in a potential change of trend, they call it a PCOT in my course, potential change of trend. That's where all the money. That's where money goes to die. There's no. I don't know. I've never said that before, but that's kind of what That's what's going on. So not so much stock picks today. I'll do another short video for that. But I want you to pay attention. As if you allow me to be your coach, I want you to pay attention to these opportunities where you feel like they're great opportunities, and then from one day to the next, you feel like you're getting your head beat in. That's usually where a potential change of trend is happening. At the very least, a pause. And I showed the stocks a couple of days ago. I showed the SPY, I showed Micron, I showed a few stocks where the hourly chart, it was so much easier to see those stocks really weren't doing anything. But then you look back and oh my gosh, I was watching the 5-minute chart and it looked like there was so much to do. But meanwhile, nothing was really going on. So I'm hoping I can coach you right now in today's Stocks for Breakfast to just really pay attention. Price action doesn't lie, and neither does your P&L. And if we feel like stuff should happen and it doesn't, that's a clue. That's a clue, and that's the leap you want to make from being a chart reader to being a tape reader. And tape reader is somebody who's an actual trader who gets feedback from their P&L and listens to it. And here's the story. If you heard me say this before, too bad. When you have a strategy that works, you have to believe it's going to continue working unless something fundamentally changed in the market. And the story is there was a period back, this was like 2011, where I was just on fire. I was trading really, really well. I'd have these periods where I'd make money 18 days in a row, 20 days in a row. And I remember this 3-day period where I was losing money. I lost money for 3 days in a row. Now, I wasn't trading well, so I pulled my size back a little bit, probably on the second and third day, because the first day you're like, whatever. I remember writing down in my journal, sitting at a Starbucks downtown by the Staten Island Ferry, and I remember saying to myself, if I believe in this strategy and I'm doing exactly what I did during those 18 days in a row that I made money, then this is just a part of the sample size of what I talked about in yesterday's video, which was 10 perfect trades. So I said to myself, the strategy still works. It just didn't make money the last 3 days. You have to continue to trade the strategy. But the key here is, number one is I had conviction in the strategy because I proved it because of how often and how long I was trading it. I had a big sample size of profitable trading. But number two was it was a potential change of trend in the market where we actually were reversing. So the temperature of the market changed, and that forced me to pull my share size back, my risk exposure back, until trades started to get easier. And when I say easier, I'm not talking about necessarily making more. I'm talking about when you have good entries and all of a sudden you don't feel like you're fighting every single entry. And that's another clue. When you put a trade on, you're like, my God, I'm down money already. You put a trade on, my gosh, I'm down money already. Versus you put a trade on and you could actually, like go grab you a cup of coffee or go to the bathroom because you're not afraid it's going to spike against you. So those little clues are really what set you up to really make that leap from chart reader to somebody who's getting feedback from the market, using that feedback from the market to become a better trader. So not a lot of stocks I'm going to look at today because we're in that potential change of trend. I'm going to do another video to talk about that. You can take a look at that in a few minutes. But one thing I will say is to pay attention to the energy stocks today. They probably will get follow through today. A lot of them were in serious bearish order flow. So again, you're only trading with the most recent price action, which was yesterday and yesterday's news. So in that sense, you can still take a look at them, but much lower risk profile on your trade. or risk exposure, which means less share size, maybe do it over 2 or 3 different stocks in that sector. Um, and then just recognize the fact that you're fighting all of that selling that's going on for the last few months, and maybe you can find some good opportunities today. So I'm not I'm not suggesting don't trade. I'm suggesting that you learn what's going on in the market by the results that you're getting. And if you feel like you're confused right now, number one, you're not alone. And number two, that's okay. Just pull your exposure back. There's no reason to have a full risk profile at a risk exposure if you don't get it. It's really that simple. But for some reason, as traders who can't wait to make money, we just feel like we have to go. Yeah, we're alpha traders. Let's go do it. That's not the case. And you could listen to any trader out there who's been around for a while. You'll make most of your money on 40% of your trades. It's a question of recognizing that 60% versus 40 while it's happening, pulling back on that 60% where the 60% are going to wash each other out, small losses, small profits, and then that other 40% of those trades that kind of just flow off your fingertips and you couldn't mess them up if you tried. So hope everybody's being safe. I hope these lessons really stick with you, because this is really the keys to making money and having longevity in the markets. And I know, because I've paid for all the losses, so I'm passionate about this because I've already spent all the money and banged my head against the wall and really went through what doesn't work. So if I can help you get there quicker and easier, that would really make my day. If you find this video helpful, please click down and subscribe. And absolutely, if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, please feel free to leave a comment as well. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Have a great day. Have a great weekend, everybody. Take care.